Hi, everyone. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Friday as we head into the Easter holiday weekend. Really, not too much has changed in terms of the overall short range view. We look at the satellite this morning. We've got a bit of a warm front that's beginning to set up ahead of this weather system here that's heading up toward the Great Lakes and on up into the St. Lawrence Valley, trailing front there. And, there's going to be very warm air that's going to shoot up from the southwest. And with that, I think there's going to be a chance for some showers or downpours very late tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night around the area surrounding New York City and Philadelphia. And then Sunday, Easter Sunday, is going to be very warm. We're going to have probably a west wind, and I think that's going to take temperatures at least into the low 80s and possibly even into the middle 80s. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see somebody, if there's enough sunshine, get up to 85, 86. It would not shock me in the least. Now, the records for Easter weekend in this area, for Easter Sunday in particular, and I remember this, Easter Sunday in 1996, in 1976, it was 96 degrees in New York City, which was the all-time record warm temperature for Easter, any Easter, which is a movable feast. We know it could be from as early as March 22nd to April 23rd or 4th. So you can get all kinds of weather during that time frame. But it was 96 on Easter Sunday. It was 3 days in a row of 90-degree temperatures. And that day was the only time in New York City weather history where New York City had the highest temperature recorded in the entire United States. One and only time that has happened. Okay, I don't think it's not going to happen again. But just wanted to bring that little piece of trivia out. In the West, we have a storm off the Pacific Northwest coast, and there's another one getting ready here. Here's one low. Here's the other one, and with this endless Pacific jet, we know how problematic that has been with respect to the continuation of a very rainy pattern in the West Coast. And in fact, when we look at the radar this morning, we have some scattered showers coming in to Washington and Oregon, a little patchy rain in eastern Oregon and Idaho. Not too much happening. Looks like maybe a little bit of scattered activity over parts of Colorado. I don't know how much of that is real and how much of that is ground clutter. And then we have some showers in eastern Nebraska and on up through Iowa, Missouri, and in through eastern Kansas. And in the eastern part of the United States, very little is going on, but we are beginning to see some showers, with this warm front that's going to be setting up. So, here's your low. So your warm front's going to set up something like this, and, that's going to push eastward. So that's, again, for late tomorrow and tomorrow night. Into tomorrow night that we're talking about showers in this area as we transition over into that very warm air mass that's coming for Sunday. So let's look at what the models are doing. I want to first look at the West because that's where we continue to see quite a bit of action. And as we go through the weekend, it looks like another surge of rain moving into California on Sunday afternoon and into Oregon and Idaho and northern Nevada. And then yet another stronger storm comes in Monday night and Tuesday with rains and heavy snows there. Now that one is going to eventually push its way eastward into Wyoming and on up into the northern plains. Still another surge later next week. And then as we move into, now we're into next weekend, looks like it gets a little quiet for a few days anyway, followed by another important surge of moisture. For now we're into April 25th. You can always see the date on the map of where I'm talking about right up here, by the way. And here's another one. So it's just a sort of endless parade. One of the things that this GFS model has done for several runs, and I want to go a little further east now. We're going to take a look at what happens out in the Rockies next week because you've got one weather system that moves through here Monday into Tuesday across Wyoming into the Dakotas, but then the models want to make some kind of low into northwest Texas. And actually, there's been a few runs now producing some heavy snows and rains for parts for Colorado. Not so much for the western and northwestern part of the state, a little bit there, but mainly for central and east. and it could be a fairly significant snowfall if this is correct. But one of the things that I want to pay mind to with this low for the end of next week might be an outbreak of severe weather for Texas, Oklahoma, and on up into Kansas and Missouri. I think this is something that we're going to have to watch for, and there could be, another outbreak that extends through next weekend for the Southeast and the Gulf states. This is a low that's going to be coming eastward, so we'll keep an eye on this. Now, let's go back to the eastern part of the United States. You can't say I always do the east first anymore because I did the west first this time. Okay, so we'll look at the east. Now, here's your warm front for Saturday night. All right in there. And, the flow behind it is west-southwest. So you get some downpours ahead of it. It doesn't look like it's a whole lot of rain here we're talking about. More of a nuisance than anything else. And then Sunday, I think we'll have sunshine. And whenever you have isobars like this in a very warm air mass in the summertime especially, but you see it work quite well in the spring too, this westerly flow. So that's going to keep the ocean wind at bay, except maybe right along the immediate beaches. And I think even the shore areas might wind up climbing up into the 80s with this, but we'll see about that. And then we have a cold front that comes through Sunday night, maybe a shower or thunderstorm with that. Then it's cooler and drier Monday into Tuesday. And here comes the next low, middle of next week. And I think it brings some rain here Wednesday into Thursday. Another one of these warm front, cold front combinations that'll be working its way through. Model looks like, models are trending to a slightly more blocky mid-spring kind of look, and that's going to mean for more rain activity. We've kind of had a break this week from the active pattern of the prior month. Now it seems to want to pick up again, particularly as we move through next weekend into the east. Looks like a pretty good rain event setting up here for next weekend and into early next week, kind of a slow moving system at that. Again, if we're winding up going into a blocky pattern, that could very well be the case. And, let's look real quick at the upper air. And we'll punch that up for you. And indeed, at least at the longer term, but let's go back a little bit further. So here's, your ridge in the east for this weekend just kind of pops up right in there, and you see it here. So that's our little warm up. And, we basically still have, I almost hate to say this every day because it just doesn't stop, is this unrelenting flow coming in from the west. One of the things that we're seeing is, I mentioned this yesterday, the ridge wants to pop up in the east, but it seems like it's not doing it with the kind of veracity that it did during the wintertime. It pops up for a day or two, and then it flattens out. Now, this is for going into next weekend and into early next week. Here's that, has a very deep trough that it makes in the east. Let me just put that up there for you. Whoops, what did I do? Well, I made a boo-boo. I got double colors here for some reason. I'm going to have to figure this one out. No. Freehand. There we go. So here we have the trough, nice deep trough here in the eastern states for later next weekend and early next week. Ridge builds out in the west. That's a signature of something happening in the eastern part of the United States. The jet is very active here. Has a early spring look more than a mid-spring look. You have the jet stream pretty far south of normal for this time of going into late April. Usually it started, you've seen the signs of it relaxing, but it keeps wanting to flare up here. So that is good for the opportunity for more rain chances in the east. And you do have, the model's been doing this for a while, this idea of maybe some kind of blocking developing. The European model, the last few runs, has been doing this sort of thing where it wants to develop some semblance of blocking, in which case, we're still going to continue with this very active pattern. Look, the bottom line is, as far as the weekend is concerned, it's going to be very warm on Easter Sunday in the Northeast, from New England down to the Mid-Atlantic states. I want everybody to have a great Easter weekend and enjoy all the festivities that go with it. And in the meantime, I'll have some posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Also, check my Facebook page because I've been putting up in the slowness of the weather here in the East, I've been putting up some articles, some weather-related articles, and also some NASA-related articles. There was a whole story yesterday about the Saturn moon possibly having ingredients for life, which is very interesting. So I know some of you kind of are into meteorology and the astronomy thing. So check out my Facebook page, meteorologistjoechaffee.com. And thank you for being here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the little red subscribe button on the channel page, and you'll get notified of all the new videos that come up at least once a day. And they are absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.